doing the Civic for the first time was like, felt very, I used to go and see like Will Anderson there and like wait at the stage door when I was like 14 with my friend Sarah and get him to sign things. And now he's like a friend of mine and we don't talk about it. And
That's
he does
crazy.
Remember, like I remember pointing it out to him once and he was like, I thought that was you.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so like I must have really left an intense handprint on his memory, I think.
Produced on Awabakal and Warramai Land, this is The Good Stuff on Newcastle Live.
This is
Good.
Good
stuff.
The good stuff.
If you're keen on a bit of a tippity tap, A Taste of Ireland is coming to Newey direct from Broadway this May. Featuring bangers like Danny Boy and Tell Me Ma, this Irish dance extravaganza will have you tapping your toes and begging for more. It's the traditional Irish dancing that we all know and love, spiced up with a little bit of contemporary. To find out more, tap your way on over to newcastlelive.com.au. Today we're joined by local legend Rhys Nicholson, who's coming home at the end of this month to perform their brand new show, Huge Party. Congratulations. Here's the chat that we had with Rhys. How have you been going?
I'm good. I'm like, it's coming to that time of year where like Melbourne Comedy Festival starts in like a couple days. And so it's this kind of, there's just this ominous, like, it's like watching clouds roll in. Of what will then be like the busiest month of the year and stuff. But then after Melbourne, it's kind of more cruisy and like the show's kind of locked in and I get to like, I enjoy Melbourne obviously very much, but it's like, it's a pretty intense month.
Yeah.
And then I get to do, I always look forward to like week 2 of Melbourne Comedy Festival because it means like the show's locked in, we're all in a rhythm. I'm like, I have like a routine and stuff like that. And then once I'm done, I get to kind of do the more like, I'll go to Sydney and Newcastle and like Brisbane and stuff. And they're more kind of like, I get to enjoy my time a bit more then.
Yeah.
Like,
I was
it's a
just
bit
having a
more-
look though, and it looks like most of your shows have sold out in Melbourne.
It's like the first week is, and then they're
The first
starting to
week.
fill up. Yeah. Like, and I've done a thing this year where I'm in like a kind of smaller room. And so, because I enjoy, as opposed to like doing a show, if I'm going to do a show every night for a month, I'd prefer it to be in a place that I, am going to enjoy playing the whole time.
Absolutely.
And there's plenty of venues like that in Melbourne, but I always think like, for me at least, the perfect space is like about 150 to 200 seats, as opposed to like places that are kind of 500 seats and are still great, but I like being kind of in it.
Yeah.
And so we're doing like a month of a smaller room and then we'll do a week of big shows in Melbourne Town Hall afterwards. Like, I mean, there are still places like, and I'm not just saying this because it's Newcastle, but like, in terms of comedy, in terms of big theatres, like the Civic is kind
it's
of
huge.
perfect. It's
Well, that's
huge,
good.
but it's perfect because it feels really, and like, it's never not weird to me growing up there, like doing one of the biggest, I don't know, you have like weird little like career milestones that are really only milestones to you.
Yeah.
That's what a milestone is, I guess. But like doing the Civic for the first time was like, felt very, I used to go and see like Will Anderson there and like wait at the stage door when I was like 14 with my friend Sarah and get him to sign things. And now he's like a friend of mine and we don't talk about it. And
That's
he does
crazy.
remember, like I remember pointing it out to him once and he was like, I thought that was you.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so like I must have really left an intense handprint on his memory, I think. But yeah, so it's kind of nice to be able to, and it's always nice to be able to do shows in big venues and have high school bullies come and see me and see that they were wrong.
Yes. Well, speaking of high school, I actually went to HSPA too.
Oh, great.
Yes. I'm sure you'd get that all the time. Like everyone went to HSPA.
Oh,
But
yeah, we're a tumor on the industry.
we are. It's
What year
true.
did you graduate?
2018. How about you? When did you graduate?
So I was 10 years before that. I was 2008.
Yeah, wow. I was
but heavens, I'm
wondering,
old.
are there any teachers that you wanted to give a shout out to? Or like, I was
Aw.
trying to think of like ones that have hung around for ages.
Yeah, I wonder if she was Kath Lay she was a drama teacher, Miss
Oh.
Lay.
Yes.
Like bonkers
Mhm.
and like the greatest. who else? Like another drama teacher was like Miss Tennyson,
Yeah.
again. But like I spent a lot of time hanging out in the drama staff room. Like when I and like Miss Truck, I think she might have been, I think she retired not long. She was an art teacher. Like the art staff and I mean, of course they were all good because they were, but just like there's a HSPA was great, I think, because a lot of the teachers in the arts sections were like also artists.
Yeah.
Like were also actors and were also like visual artists and stuff. And that I think is like always a bit, because it meant that they weren't resenting being teachers and they hadn't like lost a kind of passion for doing it. And I think that's like a really healthy thing. And there was also just like great, like the English staff was great. Like the sciences and maths were not my strong point. And I feel like I feel for the non-creative arts teachers at that school.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not to say that, there was a lot of very smart people there and a lot of people that, went that way.
Yes.
But for the most part, they're herding cats. Like
totally.
In retrospect, now thinking about it, now that it's more of a conversation, the amount of undiagnosed ADHD in that campus, oh boy. Like by opening a school to audition for like performing arts, you are essentially asking a whole bunch of like problem children.
Yeah,
to like,
it's so true.
It's like X-Men, but like in ways that we're not saving anyone.
I'd love to know, what was it like getting to work on RuPaul's Drag Race? I mean, getting to work alongside Ru and Michelle and stuff, it would just be like having God as your co-worker, right?
Yeah, genuinely. Like that's kind of the perfect way to put it, I reckon, because I had worked, I'd been a huge fan. It was like one of those weird things where I had always been a huge fan of the show. Like from about, I think when everyone kind of jumped on board about season 4.
Yes.
Like the kind of, that kind of season 4. Yeah. Season 4 into season 5. And then even like had a podcast like about it. Like I had a podcast called The Tuck Shop that when I got the job, I quietly took down.
No
like
way.
My husband and I, you're not going to find him anywhere.
Oh my gosh.
And like, not because we said anything bad or anything in there, but it just felt a bit like, if I had this job, I don't know how good it seems if I am like, but I think that's what's always helped me on the show is that I'm clearly a fan of drag, and particularly if you look at me in season 1 of Down Under, I am so wide-eyed and excitable, and like to me, looking at it now, it's like, oh, I'm so pure, like I'm so just like, wow, look at this. And it's almost like they'd put in an injected, like just plucked someone out of like DragCon lineup and just put me in there. Like it almost felt like a kind of like I'd won a competition to get there. And like just a very long meet and greet. But it has changed my life, and not just like for career reasons, but I think meeting them and seeing how Ru and Michelle, like particularly Michelle, they're like, and I say this in a positive way, they're hustlers. Like seeing people continue to want to make good work and make good stuff and have entertaining content for people and never stop. Like Michelle is one of the busiest person I've ever met in my life, but at the same time is also the most like giving, and like particularly this year, like we just filmed season 4, and they announced the other day that like Ru's not on it and Michelle is the new host. And it
crazy.
is like crazy, but it's so good. Like, and not to say it's not better or worse than Ru was there, it is just different. But it does have a different like flavor to it, and the cast is genuinely incredible. Like it's the perfect cast to get us to this next kind of stage of the show. Like they're unflappable, every single one of them, to the point where it was really hard to like, out of any other season, and I always think this sounds shady when I say it, but I'll say it anyway, it's the most there was quite a few eliminations that people see this year that we as the judges were kind of like, I can't believe they're going home.
Yeah.
But it's like, even though we made the decision, but it's like someone has to every week. Someone has to go home. But it is just a really amazing season this year. And getting the job was bonkers. Like, I've told this story before, but, you know, there had been mumblings that it was going to happen, like that they were making a Drag Race Down Under. And my agent had said, I've been told by the production company that you're on the long list.
Wow.
But then she said something that a good agent says, that she said, but I've also seen the list and I wouldn't get your hopes up too much. And I was like, okay, that's good to know. Maybe I'll get to be like a guest judge in like season 3 or something.
Yeah.
Or maybe like, you know, and then on a Sunday morning before 9 a.m., I got a call from my agent, which is never good news. Like, if your agent's calling you in the morning, it's like, oh no, they found the tweets and it's all over.
Yeah.
And we had a good
The tuck
run.
shop is out.
Yeah, exactly. They found it. But no, she called to say that Rue had seen my Netflix special and on the spot picked me. And then 3 weeks later, I was sitting on the panel.
Wow.
Pretty wild.
Yeah.
And then it's just, my favorite part of doing the job is that I get to, drag is something I'm really passionate about. Not drag race, drag. I mean, I'm also passionate about drag race, obviously. But it is something that I've been going to since I was a kid, and I'm still fine. And, you know, going to, like, you know, there used to be a drag, it doesn't exist anymore, but before Bernie's in Newcastle, there was a place called the Gateway gin bar that was only a gay bar. Yeah, it was only a gay bar, and they'd occasionally have like drag there. And I'll be honest, it was pretty ratchet drag, but that is my drag. Like, I love I love a polished queen, sure, but I love because I think in Australia we don't do female impersonation so much. We do people creating characters and creating full kind of, and there's a dark humor about it, and so that's my kind of vibe. And so I've been going, and then when I moved to Sydney, I went to Oxford Street every weekend, and just, my friends always said that they would always just find me sitting in a booth with a bunch of drag queens, just like, you know, because there's power to drag. Like, there's this kind of, and I think even in my stand-up, I've kind of taken that, like, you know, I want people to know I'm wearing a lot of like my on-stage persona is kind of a creation, like it's me, but, you know, amped up to 11.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of, I would never compare it to drag. Like, it's not, I'm not doing drag, I'm not tucked. But it is definitely influenced by drag, I think, of, you know, using it as armor in a way, and wearing suits and wearing kind of bright things. So long story short, I was excited when I got on Drag Race.
No, that's so amazing. And thank you for elaborating, because I've just always wanted to know, like, I have so many dreams where, you know, have you ever had those dreams where you get on Drag Race and then you're the first one that's eliminated, you know? So any kind of insight to Drag Race, oh my gosh.
I've said this before, I think going home, getting pork chopped is actually kind of, you know, and this is saying nothing to the girls that have been eliminated in the middle, but I think in terms of being memorable, in terms of the story of a series, I think often the girls that go first are kind of the ones that we, like, there's a kind of tradition, you know, a very high tradition of these queens. Like, I've always wanted them to do a tour. I think the US should do a tour of all the pork chopped queens.
Yes.
Just pure, like, first eliminated out queens.
That'd be awesome. That would be so cool. I would so go and see that. Now, speaking of shows, please tell me a little bit about Huge Big Party. Congratulations.
I feel silly every time I talk about it because it's such a dumb name. I love it. I've only called it, I mean, comedians, we have to name our shows long before we've started writing them.
Okay.
And it's called that because when my husband and I sent out our marriage invites last year, my father-in-law replied, he must have been walking or something, but he replied with no punctuation, "Huge Big Party, congratulations," in all capitals. And it just was a phrase that just got stuck in my head. Like, I couldn't stop saying it as a kind of like, well, huge big party, congratulations. Huge big party, congratulations to you. So that's kind of why it's called that. It is kind of about the show this year. I mean, it's, you know, like the shows that I always do. It's a stand-up show and there's lots of dick jokes in it, and it's me talking very quickly for about an hour. But I guess if it's about anything, it's probably like 34, which isn't old, but my husband got married and now people just keep asking us like, are we going to have kids or like, and it's kind of a little bit of a, this sounds wanky, but like a little bit of a meditation on what are like in fairy tales when they're like, and they lived happily ever after. That is such a vague, like, well, what do you mean? Because there's about 50 more years we've got to fill now. And just like what we're meant to kind of do. And at the moment, you know, the way that things are politically, environmentally, blah, 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 what is the responsible thing to do? But again, it's mostly dick jokes.
So what do you love about this show compared to ones that you've done previously?
I think it feels like pretty personal and it's like ever developing. I think often I've done shows that just kind of, I stop writing it, I start performing it, and that's it. But it feels like this show is going to keep kind of changing and developing as I go on, because it's kind of about my opinions on things, which all shows are, I guess. But it feels like it's going to keep moving forward. And I think that's really enjoyable because I've been doing this for like 15 years now. And the longer I do it and the more stuff that I do, the more I'm looking for like kind of fluid work, like things that can be in a constant flux. And I think that's kind of exciting, as opposed to just like, I've written this hour, I'm going to do this 100 times and I'm done. Yeah. Like it's not a play. It's like, it's a stand-up show. I mean, and having said that, it's a silly stand-up show. I feel like when I explain it, it sounds way more serious than it is, but it's like, it's an hour of jokes. Yeah. But I hope, I'm definitely not a preachy comedian, but I try and make shows that, you have a good time when you watch it, and hopefully you can leave like with something to think about, as opposed to just like, well, that was nice. Like I want you to leave, with things to kind of talk to your friends about on the way out.
Totally. Absolutely. I think that's fantastic. Look, Rhys, thank you so much for spending some time with me. It's been fantastic to chat with you, and I can't wait to see you on the 26th of April back in Newey.
Thanks. I'm excited. Lovely to meet you.
Good stuff.
That's all we have for you for this week. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we hope that you have a good weekend, and we'll see you on Monday from 4 p.m.